So if your relationship is on the brink of divorce or breakup, I want you to watch this video. I'm going to explain quite briefly the signs and how to prevent it, so that by the end of this video, you know exactly what to do. Okay? Now these are the 5 signs I want you to look out for. Okay? And before I say anything, I want you to understand why I should help you, right? Because it doesn't make sense. So I'm a consultant. I help men and women lead themselves so that they can lead everywhere else. I work with hundreds of people in regards to this specific matter, and I've decided to dedicate my life's work to understanding relationship patterns, but most importantly, who is showing up whenever you're having these conversations. Now, I've written a book about this. I work with the NHS. I work in corporate schools, and you freaking name it. Okay, so I'm not just talking from my personal experience. I'm actually sharing it from a framework that's being validated by society. All right, cool. So we want to paint a picture of what the situation actually is, right? I'm married, so that. And my marriage is the longest relationship I've been in by a mile. Cool. So yeah, my daughter, I'm currently babysitting. However, my daughter's quite self-reliant and independent, so you might hear some noises. Don't let it distract you. She's just being her. Isn't it? Yeah? Yeah. Good. Alright, so the issue I find a lot of people when it comes to consultants is they try to sort of paint the picture, right? So what's a consultant? Is he the counselor? Is he the therapist? Is he the coach? No, he's the person that doesn't just validate what you're feeling, right? The counselor will validate how you feel and will try to make sure that the other side hears him out based on the fact that you've basically created a mutual ground where you guys can actually have a conversation without shouting or barking at each other, because there's a third party representing the ideal symbol of resonance. Or let's be sensible. The therapist will validate your emotions, will help you understand why you do what you do. The consultant, or someone like myself, will help you understand what's happening, why it's happening, and how to get over it as quickly as possible. I'm not here to validate how you feel or look, there's a therapist for that, and I actually work with therapists. So the reason why my work is so effective is because sometimes people do actually want the quicker solution or method to things. Okay, so I can tell you this: the patterns that you're currently experiencing are the same with so many other men, so many other people, and so many of us have not been wired to be able to see them. Okay, so imagine you now have paid someone and their agenda is to simply tell you what you refuse to tell yourself, or your partner is refusing to tell you. You simply sit down for the truth. The guy has no reason to lie to you, no thing to gain except for, hey, this is what's actually happening. You can do something about it or choose not to. Completely up to you. But you see this thing that's been costing you thousands, multi-thousands, 100K, whatever the case is, it's cost you divorce, it's cost you, this is your 3rd divorce. Yeah, it's because you're refusing to face this. And until you face it, it doesn't matter how much you spend, you can keep tapping it. It's almost like, you know, when you're at the bar and you say, just add it to the tab. That's exactly what you do every single time you're refusing to face this very blind spot that you're not seeing, that's recurring or making you do the exact same things you're failing to see. Okay, cool. That's a conversation for another topic. Today, we're going to talk about the 5 signs, okay? So, first things first, I want you to understand that inside of your brain, or whatever you want to call it, there's a village, okay? And in that village, there's a king. However, from when you're not even aware of that, I can guarantee that when conflict happens, when things don't go to plan, or when things get difficult, let's say that, you tend to hire or utilize whoever is the most loud in the village. So you've now confused loudness for being in charge. So and I'll give you a practical example. Imagine you're angry right now. Yeah? In your village, there's Mr. Anger. He's now the loudest because the current situation has made his presence prominent. The person that's pissed you off, the person that's disrespected you, the person that's hurt you. And this is a prime example of what I'll do. I'm not going to ask you, hey, by the way, what happened 55 years ago when so and so. No, I'm just going to tell you what's happening at the moment, there and then. Yeah, anger's taken over. And then you can decide what to do with it. So in this case and scenario, anger is right here. To be fair, I should use the red. Okay? And it's screaming, we need to do something about it. That's what a reaction is. Right? By the time you slow it down, a reaction is either a competent or incompetent response, but it's always a response. The difference is you gave yourself time to think about it or you didn't. When anger takes over, it's one of the quickest ones. It says we need to respond to this fast. They disrespected us. Come on, let's go. And so the speed now gets you to now say, oh, I don't know why I did that. I'm so sorry. Because they didn't think it through. They didn't discuss with the village, right? In that village, there's all sorts of things. There's ego, there's anxiety, there's acceptance, there's fear, there's hustle, there's grind, there's so many of things, right? And I actually got this concept from the book Who's Talking from Chris Hinton. Great book. But I kind of tweaked it because I like the concept of understanding who's king, right? He said who's talking, I would say who's king, right? Because me knowing who's king gives me charge in, number one, reminding myself that I should represent myself in a majestic manner at all times. Most importantly, see what I just did there? But see, most importantly, I must be freaking aware of who's in charge of my damn kingdom. If I'm the king, and by the way, as in me, this is the thing, we sometimes don't actually understand who we are. And I know it sounds crazy, but I want you to understand something. Who are you? That really and truly. Your name was given to you by your parents. And if they decided to give you a different name, you would have simply had a different name. Or you can decide to change it when you turn 18 or whenever the age is, right? So your name can change. So, okay, who are you? Your experiences could be different had you made a different decision. Or your parents have made a different decision. So who are you? Right? You are who you decide to be. The decision is what makes the thing permanent because everything else can change. Even if you say I'm a husband, that can change. You can take off your ring and say I don't want this anymore. You don't want to be a son anymore, disown them. Disown your parents. And they will recognize you as their son anymore. You cut them off, you say, listen, I want nothing to do with you ever again. I mean, yeah, you have them, but the identity that you carry will be of someone that basically can relate to someone having dead parents because you have zero access to them because of the story you've decided to tell yourself. You see, it doesn't matter how you spin it. Who's king is who you decide. Even when you feel guilty, even when you feel depressed or miserable, who did you decide to show up as? And this is a heartbreaker because then that just simply means that every single thing that's happened to you was a decision. And the answer is how the consequence may not have been what you wanted, okay? But there was a decision that played part in that consequence. Because the consequence is only a byproduct of the cause. And it could be your cause or someone else's, right? But the key is your identity is based on who you decided to be. So the sign number one, without going into too much detail, is when you try to edit this village for the sake of what you're seeing around you. For the sake of the fact that your partner's not happy with how you're handling things. For the sake of the fact that because of how you sort out solutions or you sort out problems, you're not getting the outcome you want. So you start to edit yourself. A lot of people call it compromise. I want you to understand that the difference between compromise... Go and watch Teletubbies yourself because things are not working. That's sign one. Sign two is when, because your repair attempts stop landing, the damage starts to pile up. The bills start to add up. This happens when you are trying to fix the situation but you can't see the cause. I'll give you an example. The last time you guys had an argument, all it took is for you to order some takeaway and things were good. Or the last time you guys had a disagreement, last time you guys had a disagreement, all it took is for you to book a trip and things were sorted, things were fine. But now that's no longer working. That is because all you've done is buy yourself time with any of those strategies. And I keep saying this to people, until you figure out the root cause, especially if these arguments are repetitive, you are just wasting time in buying time because you're refusing to look at the real core issue. And if you want to find that out, that's exactly what the roadmap session is for. However, for those that want to figure out and want to test things out first, book a call in the bio and we start from there. Now, the next thing is you confuse peace with progress. This is when the partner, whether a guy or woman, has now, let's call it emotional tank, right? And there's stages to this tank. So the easiest, hi, bye. Can you want to watch Teletubbies? Watch Teletubbies. There we go. Bye. So there's stages to this, right? So stage one is, again, the tank is quite full, so hey, it's not too bad. Holidays, behavior, right? So you can refill it. This can go up based on acts of service, whatever their love language is, right? You can easily just go back to the, do you know what? Let's have a sit down. You know what? Let's order some takeaway. It's not that bad, okay? But over time, when the solution or there's a crack and it's been leaking, and it gets to stage 2 now, stage 2 is when the holiday doesn't work anymore, like it did. Because the crack has damaged the tank so much so that there's whatever you're filling it up with, it isn't enough. I'm cooking, man. Stage 3, okay, this is where, because of the silence, you think things are back to normal or they're on their way back because there's no longer this friction. No. The friction is still there. You just become blind to it because because you didn't recognize the signs. You know when someone's about to commit a heist, and then you think that nothing is going wrong, and then it's just like the silence before the storm. But you don't see it happen because everything just seems normal. And you're like the security guard, the lights. Yeah, everything checks up. That's exactly what you're doing. You're trying, because because you don't know about these stages, you think, oh yeah, you know what? There's been a bit of time. Human beings are the way they are, so it just is what it is. That's fine, right? Stage 4 is when the tank hits reserve. And what does everyone do when your tank hits reserve? You start to count the miles. You start to check how close is the petrol station before this car stops working, or worst case scenario, it just breaks down on me, right? You start to panic and freeze, right? But the problem is, whilst this is happening, you're frustrated driving. Unless you know you'll be fine, right? But if you know that imagine now the miles, you're in the motorway, and the next, seriously, you got 30 miles. Normally the thing goes up at 30 miles, depending on the car you have. So the next, you're in a long country road drive, right? And the next petrol station is 45 miles away. Hey, now we're talking, right? You're gonna start to panic. You're gonna start to think, I'm screwed here. What am I gonna do? Right? I'll tell you why that happens. It happens because the leak was never addressed. You just looked at the symptom, but the cause was never looked at. You didn't have the capacity or the reality to, I want to say capacity, what's the word I'm looking for? You just didn't want to look at the things for what they truly were, right? Stage 5 is when the tank is gone. Once the tank is done, the relationship is done. You just don't know it yet. By the time they start keeping score and the tank is done, oh, the relationship's done. Because that person now feels alone in that relationship, because for so long, their values, the things that they care about, their identity, the reason why they got into that romantic partnership. I want you to stop looking at relationships as just relationships. They are romantic partnerships. You play your part, they play theirs. Okay? And it's not about 50-50, it's about 100% values being delivered on my side and 100% values being delivered on your side. And that is the definition of a healthy dynamic. Love is the foundation that says, I want the best for you either way. Okay? I want the best for myself and I want the best for you. Okay? Love thy neighbor as you love thyself. So the question here is, what happens when you're at this stage? What happens in the village? Right? Who's king when that happens? Because throughout this process, I can guarantee you, if you didn't even know who the king was, oh, we don't want to discuss how bad that is. That this process takes sometimes years. If for people that are really being neglected, 6 months. But if they feel like their values are being looked after, they feel like the foundation is quite solid, which is pretty much the basis of a healthy relationship. Yeah, they can run it for a few years. They can hold on. They can hold that. This period being done, sometimes it's a year and you don't even know it. Sometimes it's 7 months before that conversation happened. Sometimes it's 3 months before that conversation happened. So here you are looking for signs that the relationship broke up and your partner's done. So done. Because the cause, let's talk about the cause. What could be the cause, right? Because that's the next question. The cause is something that you had nothing to do with. And that's the sad bit, right? The cause could have been they were expecting you to replace their parenthood. This is what the cause, take it anywhere, always leads to. Okay? Identity, control, or safety. If your identity is threatened, you're going to feel uncomfortable. Because the story you've been telling yourself, the story that you've decided to own, isn't respected or valued. That stings. When your narrative directly goes against what you believe in, say for instance you're someone that knows or wants to be known as a good person, okay? For instance. And then you're now painted as this villain by someone that misunderstood you completely. Guess what you're going to do? No. You're going to fix it. I said, no. You got it wrong. That wasn't my intentions. That's not what I was trying to implement or prove to you. No. I am a good person. Right? So identity is key. When your identity in a relationship is constantly being challenged or is constantly being neglected, check on your wife, check on your partner. Who are you first? Ask them. Oh yeah, I'm a wife and a mom. Yes. What happened to you? What happened to your story? That's a strike right there. Right? And we can all be guilty of this. Life is hectic. Being a parent and a husband and a business provider or business builder, right? It's not just the easiest walk in a park, is it? We can all be guilty of just being busy. But check on them. Ask them. How do you feel about you? How's you doing? And if the answer will tell you the status of their tank. If they feel like they've lost themselves in their relationship, you're closer to this than you think. Right? But so many of us don't know it. The next thing is control, right? Control isn't about controlling things you can't control. It's actually the opposite. Control is about how aware and in control are you of the things that you can actually control. That is the concept of self-esteem. the full charge over the things you can't control. This is why I hate the victim mindset, because it completely neglects the things that you can control. Oh my gosh, they've ruined my life. Horrible people, they've ruined me. They've destroyed me, everything. What can you control today? Just today. You can't focus on what they're doing and what you can do at the same time. It's impossible. That's the one thing that even if you try to multitask, you won't be able to do successfully. Because even if you want to split it, then whatever you're doing will get split attention. The moment you fully focus on what you can control, what they can control becomes their responsibility, and it gives you the actual ability to change the narrative, because you're actually focusing on what you can change. This is why, as much as I believe in taking people accountable, guess what? What can you do? Right? Because there's always something that you can do. And that empowers you to find a better solution, a better outcome that just makes you a better person overall, always. You see, when you focus on you, you can't lose. So that's control. Then safety. By the way, just how curious. When the moment these things are fragile, by the way, that's where the arguments will come from. Oh yeah, you're a liar. You've just triggered their identity. No. That's not who I am. So they start to defend it. And now the village says, wait, they've called us something that we're not. Let's rise up. Let's attack them. Let's move as fast as possible. Anger comes in and says, what do you call me? Right? Safety. Okay. So safety is about what can you predict in this case or scenario. Every time you think of safety, think of prediction. Your brain finds safety in predictions. This is why when you look at sometimes couples and people's decisions, just understand that they were just looking for safety in their predictability. That's simply what they've done. Okay? But however, when any of these fears are triggered, you're going to get someone getting defensive, because these must be protected at all costs. And this is why when I work with people, I show them how to ensure that they're the only person that can trigger any of this, right? So that when they go out there, guess what? Someone tries to call you out, they say whatever name they want to say. Did you mean to say that to me? You're not getting defensive, but you're now utilizing words that are going to get them defensive, or get them to question why they don't want to get to the same outcome you do. If you want to understand how to do that, book, go in the bio. However, you can understand what the cause is. Once you understand any of these things, you can understand. Because sometimes your identity is tied to who you used to be when you were a 7-year-old. Sometimes your identity is tied to the person your dad promised you he wanted you to be for him. Sometimes your identity is tied to a 7-year-old that's trying to prove to his dad that he's good enough. Ooh, I'm going deep today. Sometimes you need to understand what your identity is tied to, so that you can release it and create a narrative that you now decide, and not a 7-year-old that was just trying to survive. Your identity, a lot of times, when it's not, put it this way, the autopilot for this, unless someone passed on to you an effective system, i.e. your parents, or someone that took time to help you understand emotional intelligence, taking care of yourself, self-esteem, a lot of times your identity is at survival mode by default, because your brain is just wired to keep you safe. That's it. As soon as it's done that, it will set it up and say, cool, at least we're on level 1 here, right? Getting to level 2, 3, 4 is something that you have to do intentionally, manually, and most importantly, understanding that if you keep it here, guess what? That's the factory settings. Anytime any of this, your village, your who's king is triggered, your system goes back into the ECU that says identity. What's identity again? Oh yeah, we're the kid that wasn't good enough. Oh, here we go again. You said it. Here we go again. I'm not good enough, am I? Your identity is still stuck at what you felt when you were 7 years old. Okay, cool. So these are the 5 signs you want to look at. These are the stages. And most importantly, what you must do to fix it is understand how to rewire this. Now, to do that, book a call in the bio. I'll show you exactly how. But just for the people that are self or high agency, you want to go back to who you used to be. You know what? So go back to who you used to be and ensure that you're aware of who's king. Okay? Define your identity. And for that, define your identity. And to understand who's king, I done an 8-section breakdown where one of my paid clients literally was in need of this, so we broke down exactly what he needed in 8 sections. And for that, the link is in the bio, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay.